Michael Saylor at it again. Bitcoin maximalism at its finest, on display right now in front of our eyes. This is what Michael Saylor said. Consensus is building that everything in the crypto industry other than Bitcoin is a security destined to be regulated by the SEC. This makes Bitcoin the only crypto asset suitable for use as global money. Considering Michael Saylor's worth over $2 billion thanks to Bitcoin, it's no surprise why he's pretty much pumping Bitcoin only. Basically disregarding, basically hoping for the rest of crypto holders, millions of crypto holders outside of Bitcoin to fail. And I'll put a link to the article that I referred to in his tweet, but in this video, I just want to discuss why he's completely wrong about what he is saying here. Check out this nice tweet from Jake Travinsky. Chair Gensler may have prejudged that every digital asset aside from Bitcoin is a security, but his opinion is not the law. The SEC lacks authority to regulate any of them until and unless it proves its case in court. For each asset, every single one, individually, one at a time. One at a time. Now, what Jake is alluding to has not even really happened yet, has not started to happen. We don't see the SEC going after each individual token and pursuing each individual token as a security in court. There would be a ton of cases going on. That's not what's happening right now. So for Michael to say that consensus is building in terms of Bitcoin is the only non-security is completely inaccurate. And not only that, what he's saying is actually opposite of what we are seeing. So it's not consensus that's growing, showing that Bitcoin is the only non-security, but we're actually seeing the opposite. Now, before I even show you what the opposite of what Michael Saylor is saying looks like, I want to go over what John Deaton said. Not true. Outside of Gary Gensler's and Bitcoin maximalists, there's no consensus everything other than Bitcoin is a security. There certainly isn't a consensus within the legal community. Software code is not a security. It, like any other asset, can be offered and sold as a security. Saylor is a rocket scientist from MIT. He's a brilliant guy and he knows what he's saying is not true. It is 100% intended to push a narrative that drives money out of alts and into Bitcoin. Considering Mike and MicroStrategy's bet on Bitcoin, it's difficult to blame him. Remember, Michael Saylor, worth over $2 billion, much thanks to Bitcoin. So it is no surprise that any of this is even happening and that we're seeing these headlines. But these headlines are dramatic. Michael Saylor has a huge following, and this just kind of goes across and echoes across the crypto sphere, and we're left with kind of a lot of people starting to get fearful that everything is a security when we haven't even begun to go down that path in terms of SEC going after each of these cryptos. So put aside what Jake Travinsky said, put aside what John Deaton said, which both make great points conflicting against Michael Saylor and everything that he's saying, but check this out. I tweeted earlier, I said consensus is not building that everything in the crypto industry other than Bitcoin is a security. In fact, with the recent rule that secondary sales of LBC token are not securities, the opposite of what Michael is saying is true. LBC token being the native token of Library. And many of you know Library recently lost a case against the SEC. But most recently, after that loss, we saw a judge rule that secondary market sales of the LBC token not securities. And that alone goes exactly against what you see here on the screen. That consensus is building that everything in the crypto industry other than Bitcoin is a security, because we clearly see that's not the case. But it's just like everything else in crypto, isn't it? It doesn't matter if someone has 100 followers or 2.9 million followers like Michael Saylor. We see people like Michael who hold Bitcoin only, and they have one agenda: to push the Bitcoin only agenda. And that's a really slippery slope and also a confusing one, because even if you're a Bitcoin maximalist, it makes no sense to root for the rest of the crypto space to fail. The rest of the crypto space and all of the innovations that are built on other blockchains really does put a focus and a spotlight on what is good about Bitcoin, namely that it's a nice digital asset and a nice store of value. And that store of value characteristic is something that has a stronger foundation when there's an entire blockchain space innovating around it. Time will tell in terms of what happens from a regulatory perspective, but it is way too early, in my opinion, to sit here and say, like Michael Saylor has said, that consensus is building that everything in the crypto industry other than Bitcoin is a security. And I would love to know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about this? Do you think everything other than Bitcoin is a security? Or do you agree with others that we're not even there yet? And just because Bitcoin maximalists or Michael Saylor or Gary Gensler are saying that everything else is a security doesn't make it so, at least in this very moment. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please hit that like, hit that subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.